Finding a percentage of an amount without a calculator is actually quite straightforward. To find 15% of 80, you find 10%, which is 8. You divide by 10. You halve the 10% to find 5%. Half of 8 is 4. You add them up. 15% equals 8 plus 4 is 12. 15% of 80 is 12. 3%, you find 1%. To find 1%, you divide by 100. You move the decimal point twice. So 1% equals 5.4. To find 3%, you get your 1%, you treble it. 5.4 times 3, 15, 16.2. 3%, 540, 16.2. 51% of 248 is more complicated. 50%, first of all, is a half. 50% equals half of this, 124. 1% is 248 divided by 100. So 1% is 2.48. Which means when we add the 50% and the 1%, 51% is going to equal 126.48. 50%, 1%, add them together, you get your 51%. What about if we have to perform an increase of 20%? Well, we find 20% and we add it on. So increasing £30 by 20%, you find 10% of £30. 10% equals £3. Double it. 20% equals £6. Don't leave it there, because if something goes up by 20% and it used to cost £30, you need to do £30, add 6. So the new price, call it new price, equals £36. Same principles for a reduction. You find, if you're reducing £68 by 10%, you find what 10% is. 10% is dividing by 10, move the decimal point once, 6.8. And then if you're reducing, you take it away. 68 minus 6.8, 68 minus 6 is 62. Take away 0.8 is 61.2 pounds, £61.20. Find 10% and take it away for a 10% reduction. Simple interest always comes up. Per annum means per year. This is, you check what you're investing. It's always in savings, simple interest. You start with £800 and the simple interest rate is 5%. So find 5%. First of all, you find 10%. You'd be lucky to get 10% from the bank. That would be £80. Half of that is 5%. It's £40. So in a simple interest account at 5% with £800 starting off, they'll give you £40 a year. How much will be in the account after 3 years? You see what you get for 1 year and you times it by 3. £40 times 3 is £120. That's not bad for leaving your money in the bank. You'd be disappointed if you found there was only £120, because you'll still have your original £800. £120 plus 800, the original amount. After 3 years, you'd have £920 in your account. That much made an interest. That was your starting. That was your 5%. That was your 5% for 3 years.